What sexual experience did you completely consent to and you completely regret? Some random woman in a hotel bar went on a work trip. She was nice, pretty enough, but claimed to have just gotten divorced and gave me a 2-hour breakdown of her ex. She ended up pretty drunk, as was I. She looks at me and says, "I've made up my mind. I want you fuck me tonight." Sounded great. Sure. We go to my room, have some really decent and creative sex. For a one-night stand, they can be not so great. She gets dressed to leave after a couple of hours and a couple of rounds of sex, looks at me as she's leaving and says, "That was really fun. My husband was sitting behind us all night." Winks, and leaves the room. I was gobsmacked, lol. The rest of the weekend I was looking over my shoulder wondering if he'd have a change of heart and come looking for me. So maybe not regret, but something I can't put my finger on. Nothing even remotely like that has happened since. Young me used to go on Craigslist and find couples in open marriages/cucks. I'd message them, we'd send pics, then I'd go to their place and bang the wife/GF. Well, I messaged a couple and the guy was over the top for it. Constant pics of his girl. None stop asking me what I plan to do. I get there, she is sorta into it. You can tell he begged her to do it. So we are going at it. Then the realization that he wasn't actually into sunk in. Dude starts begging us to stop. She wraps her legs around me and says, "No, we're doing this." So me, being a piece of shit person back then, keeps going until she is finally done. I rinse in the shower, get dressed and leave. I felt so bad on that drive home. I can still see the guy's face crying his eyes out. Warning to people. You may think you have a fetish, but it might only sound hot in your head. Reality can be far worse experience. Edit. Was asked to add this from one of my comment replies. I don't know what happened, never reached back out to them. I went to Taco Bell. 'Cause that was my routine. I'd go have sex. I personally almost never got off. I'd go get Taco Bell as a treat for myself. I'd always feel dirty and empty afterwards. Eat my feelings. I had a lot of emotional baggage I didn't know how to deal with. Sex with random people was 100% not the answer. Matched with a woman on an app. She looked pretty good in her photos, if a little on the heavier side. She told me she smoked, but only outside, which I thought probably wouldn't be too bad. When I got there, she was probably around 50 kilograms heavier than I thought, and her room absolutely reeked of cigarette smoke, which I personally can't stand. She was breathing heavily and was really awkward and seemed super nervous, and I wasn't attracted to her at all. She leaned in for a kiss, which I tried to dodge, but she leaned in again, and at that point I made the incorrect decision to go along with things, 'cause I didn't want her to feel bad or think that I was rejecting her for her weight. Her mouth tasted of ash. Things escalated and I kept going with a sort of grin and bear it mentality, and pretended to be into it, and when we were done I left early without stopping to pee and got a UTI. I cried when I get home, took a cold shower, and washed her lipstick off my body and the taste of cigarettes out of my mouth. I put on my least sexy clothes and curled into a ball in my bed. Moral of the story is, listen to your gut and never do something you're not on board with, even if you're worried it'll hurt someone's feelings, 'cause it'll hurt you more. Stunt cocking, I guess you'd say being a bull, for random internet couples. People see you as a dildo. They don't give you time to get comfortable, they don't communicate well, and you find yourself in situations like a dude who secretly wants to touch dicks, wanting you to DVP his wife, which is logistically impossible due to his weight and micropenis, or a couple that wants to meet in a casino hotel, only to take you to the parking lot where they want to fuck in their RV. To give you an idea how low the standards are, I once answered a Craigslist ad that, by random chance, happened to be a couple where the woman was someone I'd messaged on OkCupid previously, and the guy was someone I knew in college. They were shy with photos, so I didn't know for sure until I showed up at the bar. Imagine from the woman's perspective, hey, I think Craigslist guy hit on me last month and he and my new boyfriend just ran up and bear hugged each other. Am I on a prank show? It ended up being too weird, but one of the first things they asked while we chatted over drinks was, "So, what made you choose us?" Honestly? Paragraphs. You wrote in full sentences and used paragraphs. His girlfriend, see? I told you. I've told this story before. But not on here. I was in Australia. I'm a rapper and my friend is a beatboxer. We had both just competed in the annual championships in Melbourne. We are both English. After the gig, I approached a girl. Fueled by booze and MDMA, she was putty in my hands due to my enhanced patter. Long story short, the three of us went back to her house. My friend, being the true friend that he is, stayed in the other room. Me and her got down to it, when suddenly my friend came in, asking if we were okay. Far from being perturbed, she gleefully fished 2 condoms from her drawer and threw them on the bed, and struck a pose. I'm not sure what happened in terms of physical allocation, but next thing I knew I was rimming her from behind while she sucked off my mate. The worst part was that me and my friend aren't really friends like that, and we locked eyes during the act. That was enough to make my penis wither and shrink like a pathetic miniature hot dog sausage. Long story short, I made my excuses and left the room. My excuse was I don't like to fuck on a first date. She knew the real reason though. Ended up with me in the lounge listening to my mate shagging the girl I had pulled, while I sat and nursed my shame, looking ruefully at my useless, tiny member. We all shared coffee in the morning before leaving. Me and my mate still laugh about it now. But I wasn't laughing at the time. An old ex had hit me up. We hang out. I fixed her car and chilled about once a week. We even hang out at her place. Few days before Halloween we go to one of those haunted house walkthroughs. We sat in the car and made out with her on top of me. We go back to her place to continue. We start to have sex and she starts crying. I ask if she was okay and if she wanted to continue. She told she was okay and that she was emotional because she was going to start her period soon. So, we continued. Later found out she had a BF that was working on a ship at seas. Dropped her then and never talked to her since. When I was 13, I agreed to have sex with a family friend who was 22 at the time. He asked me if I used protection and I was like, yeah do I, because I thought he was talking about if I wanted to use a condom. I didn't even know what the pill was. He didn't use a condom. I didn't even ask ABT it because I truly didn't understand the concept of protection or getting pregnant. It was super painful, and I'm so glad I up and left after a couple of awkward and painful thrusts, or I could have been 24 with a 11-year-old kid who would probably be in the system by now. And that's why we have age of consent people. Random side note, looking back, he actually had a freakishly large penis, and I didn't even know because it was my first time LMAO. Imagine my shock when I hooked up with my first boyfriend some years later who had a micro penis. Let me set the scene for all the people who may read this, because let me tell you. This is inspiring. The year, 2006. Your man is freshly 14 and shaves all 8 of his pubes. I really liked this one girl who has stupidly big tits. She liked me too, but she wanted to just fuck everyone, so me, being me, decided since she can't be loyal, this ain't it. She texts me all day, running up that texting bill like a dick, telling me if I didn't want to have sex with her, she was gonna fuck my brother. Homie, don't play like that. I told her to go away. She sent titty pics. Like a goddamn fool, I'm back in. I run up to my brother's room and steal a bunch of quarters and ask my dad for a ride to town. Why the quarters? Gas station bathroom rubbers. Bought 3. Meet up with the girl behind the elementary school. I put all 3 condoms on because triple the protect, triple the baby block. I proceed to make sweet awkward cold fall air love to this woman on a fucking wheelchair ramp. Felt nothing. She asked if I liked it, to which I responded like a true gentleman, huh? Anyway.